Alright, America guys, here with the late-night run of Hurricane Sandy and what will be the impacts here in the Northeast. This is especially for Dillon, Daniel, and Vincent, who are on the way back home to Connecticut along the shoreline here. So, just to give you a little heads up here, it's coming fast and furious and pretty quick. So with that, we'll go to the confidence rating. Pretty much we're 100% confident that this thing is going to hit as it is right now. It's looking pretty bad. We're looking landfall late Monday and Tuesday. Monday afternoon, we start to see the rain bands and the winds are beginning to pick up, as well as the storm surge. And models continue to work on location. We do have a little bit of differences amongst the models, as we usually do this far out. And we'll see those a little bit later on in the video here. Storm impacts for Connecticut, and this is worst case scenario, and it's looking to shape up to be like that. Sustained high winds, severe coastal flooding, especially on the shoreline. You're going to see many houses, unfortunately, succumb to the high waves, astronomical tides, and coastal flooding. This is all combined to be a very dangerous situation. Major inland flooding, especially along the Connecticut River, the Housatonic River, any of the larger streams, creeks, are definitely going to flood. We're talking about long duration power outages across most of Connecticut. They're still actually lacking linemen, as far as I was aware of earlier this afternoon. Connecticut Land Power is complaining that they're lacking linemen. UI seems to think that they're okay, but in this situation, no one really knows what to expect. And local evacuations, especially in the shoreline, I know East Haven's already been evacuated along parts of the shoreline. And this is really town by town as we go on. Those that need to be evacuated will be evacuated at that time. So go through the weather alerts here. You see those a little bit of the lighter greens there. That's the coastal flood warning for all the southern parts of the southern counties of Connecticut. So southern Fairfield, southern New Haven, southern Middlesex, and southern New London. Elsewhere, we have high wind watch for all of the state and a flood watch overall for all of the state. And this is in advance of Sandy. Sadly, right now, you can't really tell too much as to what's going on, but we do have a little bit of an eyewall there in the darker center convection there. And behind that, you're looking at the expanse of rain that is of Hurricane Sandy. It's pretty massive snow right now. It's tied for second place, the largest cyclone in U.S. history. Moving on to the 5-day forecast here. It's still a Category 1 hurricane. Expected to become post-tropical as it merges with the cold front moving across. And we'll see that retrograde. You see right now the models still have some differences to them. The 5-day forecast brings it most likely into New Jersey, parts of New York, even down in the Delmarva, Delaware, Maryland Peninsula as you go on through there. You take a look at the forecast models here. That red one you see right there, that is the official track that the NHC likes to use right now. However, these tracks are still varying as we go on throughout the time. We're looking at the retrograde scenario and depending on when does it come up. Quite personally, we think as a consensus that red one you see right there is going to be the track, or a little bit farther to the north into northern New Jersey, parts of Long Island, New York, and Connecticut are your best bets. So these are the GFS and ENSEMBLE models that we're looking at, guys. And these are all the GFS runs that they've done. Most of them are pointing to that northern New Jersey track. So as we go on, we'll start to see that shift more toward the north. And that's the thing right now that could change. But we're overall confident that that's going to be the case. So if the GFS, oh Lord, let's see, long one there. GFS wins, and we're going to go through different models here and go through each of them. You can tell that those lavenders right there, those darker purples, we're talking 100, 120 kilometers per hour. That equals anywhere between 65, 75, 80 mile an hour winds sustained, and gusting maybe even higher than that, coming ashore to Connecticut, really chopping up those seas and making, even flooding, coastal flooding even worse than it already is. And definitely down trees and power lines there. We're going to the NAM here, the North American model, if I can look on the right one. There we go. The winds are a little bit lesser here, however, still we're looking at the potential for stronger winds there. So it's red, so we're looking at 55, 65 miles per hour sustained. If you wanted the CMC, the Canadian model, it agrees more with the GFS at this point, so we're seeing those 100 kilometer per hour winds at 65, 75 miles per hour sustained. Definitely not going to be good here for power outages, especially in Connecticut. We know how Irene really affected us last year. Going on to the GFS 6-hour total, you notice that most of the rain does tend to stick to the south. That does not mean that it will generally be to the south. We will see rain as far in Connecticut. We're talking 1 to 2 inches an hour for the duration of the storm, which can be as high as 36 hours. So we're talking flooding rains, especially in the Housatonic River. And they'll be adding to the flooding concerns as the winds push water inland from the sea. That's going to really back up the rivers. Rivers can't drain out their water as the winds come on shore. So that really causes flooding concerns, especially on the Housatonic River, streams, creeks, and the Connecticut River. Going on the NAM models, confirming the GFS models more or less, keeping the rain farther south. Again, that doesn't mean the rain can't come farther in the north. And this is the last one I really think is a little bit concerning here, is the CMC. We go on to the 60-hour track here. Again, this is all these models, again, I'm showing you are Tuesday, so at Tuesday, the height of the storm as it comes ashore. The CMC seems to think the rain will be farther north than it originally was, and this could be a little bit more interesting, believe it or not. We could be seeing more rains in much of the Northeast here, so, a lot of effects if you're looking at as you guys come back home. Again, make sure you keep up on supplies here. I can't stress enough, supplies are important here. Really watch out for these power outages, storm surge. If you guys are close to the water, now is the time to move your things inland. If they've already issued evacuations for your towns, heed them, go to a place farther inland, away from low-lying areas that won't flood out. And away from a lot of trees, who you really prefer at this point. If you have the elderly, you need to check up on them. We're looking at a colder air solution as this storm really comes to a close. We're talking about colder air falling behind it, which will really make it dangerous for the elderly and those without heat. They can potentially freeze to death. So make sure we have all of that set to go. Stock up on supplies and maybe evacuate to high ground. If you have someone else that lives, more or less in New York State, lives on a hill area away from any of these, scenarios I just talked about, try to go up there. I mean, this is a storm you really can't miss. It's massive. We're talking 500 miles across, maybe even higher. This becomes a situation you really can't ignore. But for that, I will close the video for now. I will have another update for you guys as conditions warrant tomorrow. And good luck to all of you down there in Connecticut. I hope to be joining you soon enough.